All right, so the first step is we need to dig a shallow furrow across one length of the garden. So what this is going to do is give us an area to bury one edge of the row cover. Once the ground freezes and the row cover is buried in the soil, it's almost like it's buried in rock. It won't come out until spring when the ground thaws, so it just makes it a very secure structure. So I'm going to come over here on the short side and just, someone want to help? Thanks. All right, so once we have this nice furrow, then we're going to take these are called hoop loops. We ordered them from Johnny's Selected Seeds. So you guys notice I'm putting in the hoop loop not parallel to the side of the bed. I'm putting it in more parallel. I'm imagining a rectangle across the area of the bed. You want to kind of minimize the amount of twisting. You know, we're building a rectangle that doesn't work well with curves. So there's the first one. Here's the second. I'm trying to make it parallel to that. So then we kind of need to beef up this structure. This is going to have to support some heavy snow loads this winter. Just a basic way of strengthening the structure is tying some twine. At this point you would tie this off. You can also kind of add one layer across this side as well. However, how strong you want to make it is kind of up to you. We want this to be evenly draped over the structure and kind of down in the ground. That side's going to go into the furrow, and this side is all it's going to do is just touch the soil. It doesn't have to be really well secured, except for on this side. This goes into the furrow. Exactly. Perfect, guys. So this is now down all the way. I'm pushing this all the way down into the bottom in the furrow that we dug at the beginning. And I'm pushing it with my hands up against the supports, because when we're putting the plastic on over it and we're securing that with staples, we don't want those staples to go in the soil and puncture our fabric. We want to let it last for 3 or 4 years to come. So if we avoid putting holes in it, kind of help extend its life. So I'm just tucking it over with my hands, and then I'm going to take a little bit of soil bury the edge of the fabric. So this way, this is not going anywhere now on this side. This is.
Can you tuck it under the lip? Is that a good idea?
Just so you guys kind of get an idea of what's going on here, the fabric is adding kind of some thermal protection, and the plastic is just really more for giving it some more rigidity, and also kind of allowing the energy that the sun is passing through to kind of reflect back down, and it's keeping in more moisture. And this is something you're going to observe with your students as the plants are growing. You're talking about plant cycles and water cycles. The plants, absorb water from the soil, they transpire it out of their leaves, and it goes into the atmosphere. It's going to condense on the inside of the plastic. You will see it'll fog up and it'll be kind of dripping down, and that'll just cycle back down into the water. So once you put the seeds in and you give it a good water, you're probably not going to need to water it at all until you're taking the cover off in the spring. Maybe one time if it's really dry. Now the last step is securing the plastic so it's not going to blow away, and it's going to keep everything tight and rigid, and it'll help support the structure. So on the sides that we're not going to be lifting up through the spring, through the winter, we're using these staples as kind of a permanent anchor. So we're going to do 2 on the corners that are going to help pull it taut across the length, and then 2 in the middle that'll hold it kind of laterally. Before I stick this in, I'm going to pull this kind of taut. I'm going to tuck the plastic under a little, and then I'm just going to puncture this straight through the plastic down into the soil. And that's going to stay in the ground until until the springtime. Same thing on this side. I'm going to try to avoid pushing it up against where I buried the fabric and push it in kind of at an angle towards the bed so I avoid puncturing the fabric.
The fabric was careful.
So with these, they're kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Halloween implements, right? Right for the season. We're going to do the same thing. We have 3 of them. 2 are going to go on the corners to kind of pull it tight the long way, and then 1 is going to go in the middle. One thing I want to point out is this whole thing, all 3 of these holes don't need to puncture the plastic. That would kind of rip it to shreds, right? All you have to do is put 1 through the plastic and these will go down into the soil. So I'm just going to kind of pull it tight.
Actually, Joe, you can come over here because you're going to do
I'll tuck the extra under.
Okay, so then we can all kind of help him keep it tight. Yep, that's perfect. It looks like Sam just ran into the ear.
This is the side with this handle that you can easily remove from the soil, that you're going to be able to open it up, kind of fold it all back, take some measurements, investigate growth, add a little water if you're not using the irrigation system and you feel like you need to, and then just close it right back up again. Does that make sense? Any questions at this point?